Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you are interested in today's video. Rare earths. These are no ordinary minerals, but strategic resources known as industrial vitamins. The permanent magnets in mobile phone chips, the core components of electric vehicle motors, the precision parts of missile guidance systems, and even the coating technology of stealth fighters all rely on these dozens of inconspicuous metal elements. The recent sparring match between China and the United States over rare earths has intensified again, and behind every fluctuation in the data lies the underlying logic of the great power struggle. In mid-July, China's General Administration of Customs disclosed that June exports of rare earth magnets to the United States soared 700% compared to May, setting a 3-year monthly record. Shortly after this gift was delivered to the United States, Treasury Secretary Benson couldn't wait to declare in a speech at a Washington think tank, negotiations can proceed slowly. We need to include some necessary conditions. These conditions, surprisingly, required China to halt oil imports from Russia and Iran, lest a 100% tariff be imposed on $500 billion worth of Chinese goods. These closed-door negotiations, scheduled for Stockholm, Sweden, were destined to be fraught with obstacles from the outset. The US was calculating enough. Having just secured its rare earth rice bowl, it was eager to insert illicit goods into the negotiations between the two countries. However, China had already seen through its intentions and laid out 3 strategies to block the way. The first was to precisely block the loophole of roundabout imports. Over the past 2 years, American companies have devised a roundabout way to circumvent China's export controls on strategic minerals like germanium and antimony, shipping Chinese raw materials at low prices to processing plants in Thailand and Mexico, then shipping them to the US after minimal processing, thereby discrediting their Chinese origin. However, starting in May of this year, Chinese customs launched a rare earth origin traceability special operation, requiring origin verification of all rare earth products in transit. Within a month, Thailand's antimony ingot exports plummeted 92%, while Mexico's germanium crystal exports dropped to 0. In June, China's total antimony exports fell 88% year-on-year, while germanium exports plummeted 95%, completely thwarting American companies' stockpiling plans. A report by the Boston Consulting Group indicates that American semiconductor companies have only 45 days' worth of germanium inventory, and rebuilding alternative supply chains will take at least 3 years. The second approach involves tightening rare earth controls through a fuzzy information strategy. On the surface, China's expansion of rare earth magnet exports in June appeared to be a gesture of goodwill, but in reality, it may be the Last Supper. The Financial Times, citing the EU commercial counselor in China, reported that China's regulations are still tightening. The most obvious signal is the unusual fluctuations in mining quotas. The 2022 rare earth mining quota will be reduced by 20% year-on-year. While it will remain unchanged in 2023, this breaks the customary practice of announcing quotas in 2 batches each year. The first batch, which was previously scheduled for April, has yet to be released. This lack of clarity regarding this year's supply has left international buyers unsure, and the US is in particular in a state of panic. General Electric's new energy division has been forced to raise its rare earth purchase price by 30% to ensure wind power equipment production. Tesla's Shanghai factory has even suspended production of the Model 3 high-performance edition due to the increased risk of supply disruptions for core materials used in rare earth permanent magnet motors. the US's anxiety is well-founded. In the rare earth processing sector, China controls 90% of the global separation capacity, a dominance that cannot be shaken in the short term. Australia's Linus, the company, once attempted to break the monopoly by building a factory in Malaysia, but due to environmental standards issues, work was repeatedly halted, and production was 4 years behind schedule. Although Mountain Pass, the largest rare earth mine in the United States, has restarted, it lacks separation technology, and the rare earth concentrate produced still needs to be shipped to China for processing. This, mining outside of China, processing within China, structure has kept the United States at the mercy of others. Bessemer's attempt to tie oil trade to rare earth negotiations clearly underestimates China's strategic resolve. The trust hardened during the first 2 rounds of China-US negotiations on issues such as agricultural product procurement and intellectual property protection may be shattered again by this political blackmail. A spokesperson for China's Ministry of Commerce has long stated, politicalizing the rare earth issue will only exacerbate global supply chain instability. In fact, China's oil imports from Russia and Iran have remained stable. Russia replaced Saudi Arabia as China's largest oil supplier in 2023, and Iranian condensate imports also increased by 15% year-on-year. These trades are not only settled in RMB but also boost the international influence of Shanghai crude oil futures, which is precisely the de-dollarization trend that the United States most dislikes. More importantly, China's countermeasure toolkit extends far beyond rare earths. From strategic metals like tungsten and molybdenum to high-end manufactured goods such as photovoltaic panels and electric vehicle batteries, China possesses irreplaceable advantages in multiple links of the industrial chain. A recent internal assessment by the U.S. Department of Commerce indicates that if China restricts graphite electrode exports, the U.S. steel industry will be completely shut down within 6 months, and if the supply of rare earth permanent magnets is halted, the annual production of F-35 fighter jets will plummet from 150 to 30. At the negotiating table in Stockholm, the United States needs to understand that rare earths are not bargaining chips to be manipulated at will, but rather an objective factor in the global industrial chain division of labor. We'll see the results. China never deliberately wields the rare earth stick, but it will never allow others to use rare earths as a political weapon. Tariff negotiations should focus on tariffs. Dragging oil trade and geopolitics into the mix will only make the already complex Sino-US economic and trade relations even more fraught. In the coming months, with the final announcement of China's rare earth mining quotas, this game of negotiation may enter a new phase. If the US continues to employ its old tactics of maximum pressure, it may face the reality of a rare earth shortage. After all, in the chessboard of strategic resources, whoever controls core production capacity holds the final say.